I am continuing my reading. What I'm doing in this series is to read through the entire standard works of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints. This consists of the Bible, the Book of Mormon, the Doctrine and Covenants, and the Pearl of Great Price. I am reading in a chronological order of events, not according to publication or volume, so I will be skipping around a bit as I move along. Now, having just read the final days of King Asa in Judah, we go to Ahab in Israel, because Asa died in the 4th year of Ahab. So let us look at what goes on during the reign of Ahab. Now, you'll also note that Jehoshaphat, the son of Asa, becomes king in Judah in the 4th year of Ahab. And they are king at the same time for a significant period. Jehoshaphat is king for 25 years, and Ahab is king for, how long was he king for again? 22 years. So for 18 years they were king together. Anyways, we are picking this up with the story, with the reign of Ahab in Israel. This is chapter 17. But this will now pick up the story, and we will read all of his story, or most of it, during the reign of Ahab. This is the story of the prophet Elijah. And he is one of my heroes of the Bible. Partly because my middle name is Elijah, but mostly because he is just a fantastic guy. And he's a bit of a mystery. We don't know much about him. But let us read 1 Kings chapter 17. Elijah seals the heavens and is fed by the ravens. At his command, the barrel of meal and the cruse of oil of the widow of Zarephath fail not. He raiseth her son from death. So there's a lot going on in this chapter. It's actually not too long, though, so we get. I love this. The power of Elijah is just fantastic. It's awe-inspiring. So let us read this. And Elijah the Tishbite, who was of the inhabitants of Gilead, said unto Ahab, As the Lord God of Israel liveth, before whom I stand, there shall not be dew nor rain these years, but according to my word. Now, I know that's only one verse, but this is such a fantastic introduction to Elijah. I mean, most prophets in the Old Testament, we don't really know a whole lot about. They just kind of appear on the scene when they're talking to the king, and then they disappear. Elijah, we get actually a lot more about his personal ministry. Him and Elisha are probably the two that we get more about their personal ministry than any other prophet, except Isaiah and Jeremiah as well. They're the four there. But this is such a fantastic introduction to Elijah. He steps onto the scene, and what's the first thing he says? First action is to shut off all water. And this isn't just, there's not just that there's no rain coming down, but there's no dew. There's no morning condensation. This is incredible power. He doesn't just cause a drought where there's no rain. There's no moisture in the air whatsoever. That is power. Let us continue with verse 2. And the word of the Lord came unto him, saying, Get thee hence, and turn thee eastward, and hide thyself by the brook Cherith, that is before Jordan. And it shall be that thou shalt drink of the brook, and I have commanded the ravens to feed thee there. So he went and did according unto the word of the Lord. For he went and dwelt by the brook Cherith, that is before Jordan. And the ravens brought him bread and flesh in the morning, and bread and flesh in the evening, and he drank of the brook. And it came to pass after a while that the brook dried up, because there had been no rain in the land. So during this impressive drought, God tells him to go hide out by this brook, because obviously the king's going to want to try and kill him. And the ravens bring him food. Every morning they bring him breakfast and they bring him dinner. But you'll note that God does not produce extra water for him. It's not like with Moses when he struck the rock and water came out. God didn't do that for Elijah. The drought came, and eventually this brook dried up because there was no water. And so he had to go and find another way to survive because he had no water. So even Elijah has to deal with the drought. Here we go, verse 8. And the word of the Lord came unto him, saying, Arise, get thee to Zarephath, which belongeth to Zidon, and dwell there. Behold, I have commanded a widow woman there to sustain thee. So he arose and went to Zarephath. And when he came to the gate of the city, behold, the widow woman was there, gathering of sticks. And he called to her and said, Fetch me, I pray thee, a little water in a vessel, that I may drink. And as she was going to fetch it, he called to her and said, Bring me, I pray thee, a morsel of bread in thine hand. And she said, As the Lord thy God liveth, I have not a cake, but an handful of meal in a barrel, and a little oil in a cruse. And behold, I am gathering 2 sticks, that I may go in and dress it for me and my son, that we may eat it and die. And Elijah said unto her, Fear not, go and do as thou hast said. But make me thereof a little cake first, and bring it unto me, and after make for thee and for thy son. For thus saith the Lord God of Israel, The barrel of meal shall not waste, neither shall the cruse of oil fail, until the day that the Lord sendeth rain upon the earth. And she went, and did according to the saying of Elijah. And she and he and her house did eat many days. And the barrel of meal wasted not, neither did the cruse of oil fail, according to the word of the Lord, which he spake by Elijah. Now this is another fantastic story. Now, we're not done with the chapter yet, of course, but a little meal and a little oil, and he makes them last a couple of years. Now, we don't know how long the drought has been going on. Well, it's been long enough for this brook to dry up. I'm guessing it's been a little over a year, which is why the woman is doing so poorly. It's been a year's drought. There's been no crops for the year. It's an unexpected drought. They maybe even planted crops, and they all dried up because there was no rain. So it's been a while since anybody had fresh food. But you got to imagine that this shows 2 things I want to point out. Is that, first of all, Elijah was well known throughout the area, because she was from the city of Zarephath, and it says it belongs to the Zidonians. Zidon was a city on the coast of the Mediterranean to the north of Israel, and they had other cities that they owned, that they were part of the Zidonian kingdom. So she's not an Israelite, yet she recognizes Elijah as a prophet of God. Now, this doesn't mean that she was converted. May have very likely been an idol worshiper, but she knew who God was. She knew who Elijah was. And when Elijah gives her this promise, she may not have believed that God is the only God, but she knew he was a God of power and that he was a God that would keep his word. Let us finish this out here. Verse 17. And it came to pass after these things that the son of the woman, the mistress of the house, fell sick, and his sickness was sore, that there was no breath left in him. And she said unto Elijah, What have I to do with thee, O thou man of God? Art thou come unto me to call my sin to remembrance, and to slay my son? And he said unto her, Give me thy son. And he took her out of her bosom, and carried him up into a loft where he abode, and laid him upon his own bed. And he cried unto the Lord, and said, O Lord my God, hast thou also brought evil upon the widow with whom I sojourn, by slaying her son? And he stretched himself upon the child 3 times, and cried unto the Lord, and said, O Lord my God, I pray thee, let this child's soul come into him again. And the Lord heard the voice of Elijah, and the soul of the child came into him again, and he revived. And Elijah took the child, and brought him down out of the chamber into the house, and delivered him unto his mother. And Elijah said, See, thy son liveth. And the woman said to Elijah, Now by this I know that thou art a man of God, and that the word of the Lord is truth. So we see here, this is kind of evidence that she wasn't really converted. She knew God, she kind of believed in him, she understood that Elijah was a prophet, but now she's converted. She had faith enough to do what Elijah told her to do in the beginning, and now she truly believes. But I have to say, it says he stretched himself on him 3 times. This always makes me think that Elijah was giving CPR. But I'm going to leave that here. Elijah is one of my favorite characters, and I love his introduction. Just first thing you ever see him do is to seal the heavens so that no water in the air. We are at 0% moisture. We'll pick up the story of Elijah in the next chapter. We're going to get fun times there. So see you then.